There comes a day when every pianist experiences some sort of a midlife crisis, and it all begins when you start learning the notes. You play a couple of pieces, you play for Miss Margaret's piano recital, all of a sudden all the parents think you're incredible genius because you know how to play Happy Birthday. And then the dreaded question arrives. It's Sue's birthday. She's turning 97. And Miss Sue wants you to play her favorite piece on the piano, the Maple Leaf Rag. But here's the thing. You've never played it before, and she wants it done right now. With absolutely zero preparation, you start to internally freak out. You know, she's not gonna live forever. She wants it sight read right now. So what are you gonna do in this instance? Are you gonna tell her no, or are you gonna sight read it? We can't be scared of it, otherwise Miss Sue is gonna be really angry, and she might die. We can't let her die, knowing that we couldn't sight read. How could we live with that? I'm not letting Miss Sue know that I can't sight read. Here's my tips on how to conquer sight reading like a master. Tip number 1, do not be a bobblehead. What is a bobblehead? Well, it's basically someone who looks from the score to their hands repetitively, almost bobbling their head just like this. You think they get dizzy, you think they get disoriented, and I'm here to tell you they are. And you know what they do? Since they get tired of bobbling their head like that, since they don't really know the keyboard topography that well, they start memorizing their music. So that way, you know, they don't have to do all that exercise at the piano. They'll read their music like one time, and then all of a sudden they'll start memorizing like crazy, because it's way easier to just, you know, memorize a couple of patterns and not actually read your music. Because it's kind of a superpower to, you know, just like look at some music and, you know, maybe you could glance down one time and just read. You know, that's kind of hard to do if you haven't had any experience doing that, because essentially what I'm saying is you gotta know where your fingers are without even looking at your fingers. That's kind of bonkers, right? A couple years ago, I remember there was this guy who was walking across some city, I can't remember, and it was all over the news, and he was walking carrying this little pole thing, and imagine if he started to look down. He'd probably fall off that tightrope. And that's exactly what you're doing in your piano practice. Every time you sight read, you always have to be looking ahead at least one measure at a time. And if you are not looking ahead, you're gonna get behind and you're gonna mess up the rhythm, and your sight reading is not gonna be so good. Tip number 2 on sight reading like a whiz is being able to recognize patterns like a pro. By patterns, I mean things like intervals and distances and calculating certain things. Oh, this all sounds very complicated, but actually it's not. Like, okay, let's say I am reading the Maple Leaf Rag. Go to Maple Leaf Rag, I'm so excited. Play for Miss Sue. And you know, now I got my pattern glasses on and I'm looking at this right hand and I'm thinking, okay. Okay, so I'm looking at my key signature. It looks like I'm in A-flat major. I'm probably gonna see lots of A-flat chords in this piece. I'm gonna look at some of the distances. This first measure. It looks complex, but it's really not. It's just an A-flat chord. Being able to recognize that on the fly is absolutely critical. And then looking at the second measure, I see an E-flat chord, no big deal, no squabbles on that. Half the time I'm not even looking at the notes, I'm just looking at patterns. Can I identify the chord I'm playing? Easy. I'm not looking, you think I'm actually reading A-flat, E-flat, A-flat, C? I don't got time for that. No, I'm looking at the bigger picture because I'm all about the bigger picture. Wow, I got an A-flat in my bass. I got an A-flat inversion right there. A natural passing into a B-flat with an E-flat 7. Oh, that's pretty nice. Okay, and do it again. Hey, that's pretty simple. I'm going back to, oh, it's the same thing. It's a pattern. Uh-oh. what the heck is this? You know what? I'm looking and I'm seeing, A flat, C, E flat, E flat. And most of the time, I'm just looking at intervals. Like, I didn't have enough time to be thinking about what the heck that chord was. I can't be thinking about that. So you know what? I'm going to put my 2 on A flat and think, well, that looks like a really nice third to me. And then it goes up a fourth. Oh, that's pretty simple. Third and a fourth. I don't even have to think about the letters. I'm thinking about my fingering and I'm thinking about my intervals because that is the key to sight reading mastery. It's pretty simple. Oh no, what is that chord right there? Well, you know what? I'm not even gonna read it because that's too much work. I'm gonna look, okay, D, go up a third, and go up a second. Just like that. And what does that sound like? That sounds like a diminished chord of something. But you know what? Do I have time for that? No, I'm sight reading. You know how I got to that chord so fast? I just looked at like where my pinky is going. I said, oh, my pinky is going up a half step. And then it's up a fourth, up a third. If I didn't know that chord, which I do know that chord, okay? I'm not trying to brag or anything, but I got my pattern glasses right now. See, knowing these patterns, you can be sight reading like nobody's business because you can be learning pieces so fast. But the only way to get this way is not only to get these glasses, but also to be reading music every day. You think this is my first time sight reading? Oh, no. It's kind of like the gym, you go once and you expect to be a buff guy? No way! You better be going like every day of the year, not like those people who only go during their New Year's resolution in January and then you can't even find them in February. You find them in Olive Garden, but you don't find them at the gym. So you want to be sight reading every single day. Add it to your routine at least 10 minutes a day because like a muscle, it has to be trained. Tip number 3 is absolutely keeping the rhythm over accuracy of pitch. Sometimes if you're in an emergency situation like I was last week when I got invited to a wedding and I had to play the piano and my friend Nick, he kind of messed up everything for me. He said, hey Allison, I want you to play these pieces. I said, sure, that's fine. I practiced to my heart's content. I was all ready for the wedding and then all of a sudden he switched it up on me and he said, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, Allison, but I gave you the wrong piece. And you know what I had to do? I had to sight read in front of a whole wedding. I was so mad at him. I was so mad at Nick. But that day, you think I was gonna stop and correct myself for accurate pitches? No way. Sometimes I would even do crazy things like improvise and not actually follow the score completely accurately. Don't tell anybody. This is where musicians are their most creative because only you can see the score that you're playing. But it takes a lot of practice. But really, as long as you're getting the overall flow and idea of the piece, that's all that really matters because at the end of the day, sight reading is way different than playing your, advanced repertoire that makes you sound like a cool guy. We want to show people we know what the heck we are doing, and if, they hear all this stuttering and stopping, it's like watching a presenter stutter their way through a performance. The last tip about sight reading, if at all possible, sometimes things are out of your control and Nick will come at you and give you a piece just randomly and you can't control what level piece Nick is going to give you, he's just going to give it to you and you just got to say, okay, all right. But you know what? It's fine. But if you have control over the piece that you're playing for your sight reading, try to make it at least a couple levels under your current abilities. This is really important because you want your confidence to go up. You don't want to get shut down every single time you sight read. Don't judge your sight reading abilities. Maybe you can play Chopin, maybe you can't. I don't know. Just experiment, have fun. Sight reading is supposed to be fun. Everyone thinks it's kind of dangerous, but don't be scared of sight reading. Just make sure it's a couple of levels under your ability, maybe a few things that maybe are above, something different in the piece that kind of challenge. You still want to challenge, but yeah, don't go extreme, okay? Don't just pull out Hungarian Rhapsody to sight read. That'd be crazy talk. Unless you're Lang Lang. Let me know down in the comments what your best advice is on sight reading. Are you scared of it? Do you love it? Are you a secret mastermind at sight reading? Well, if you are, please let everybody know down in the comments. We all need that kind of inspiration. And don't forget to hit the like button. If you liked this video, don't forget to subscribe. I'm always coming up with lots and lots of ideas for you all. And I wish you the best luck at your next party with Miss Sue. And don't forget, if you see Nick showing up to a wedding that you're supposed to play for, he might make you sight read. And if Nick is watching this, Nick, I secretly have beef with you. Alright, I'll see you guys next week. Bye everybody.